Growing up, I always thought I had a normal family: mom, dad, and my older sister, Grace. Grace was 15 years older than me. She always seemed more like a second mother than a sister. She would brush my hair, help me with homework, and tell me bedtime stories when our parents were busy. My name is Emma. I'm 25 years old now, but this story begins just last month, at Grace's 40th birthday party. Our family has always been close, or at least I thought we were. We had our problems like any family, but nothing major. Dad worked as an accountant, Mom was a teacher, and Grace became a nurse. She married a kind man named Robert 5 years ago. I remember how excited everyone was when Grace announced her birthday party. Mom spent days cooking her favorite foods. Dad bought expensive wine. I helped decorate Grace's house with balloons and photos from her childhood. The day of the party was sunny and warm. Everyone seemed happy, laughing and telling stories about Grace. After the cake, while everyone was chatting in the living room, I realized I had forgotten Grace's gift in my car. "I'll be right back," I told Mom, going to get Grace's present. When I came back inside, I needed to use the bathroom. The one downstairs had a long line, so I went upstairs. Grace's house was big, with 4 bedrooms. I got confused about which door was the bathroom. I opened one door and realized I was in Grace's home office. I was about to leave when I noticed a drawer slightly open on her desk. A folder was sticking out with my name on it, Emma Johnson. I shouldn't have looked. I know that now, but seeing my name made me curious. I pulled out the folder. Inside were papers. The top one caught my eye immediately. It was a birth certificate. My birth certificate. But something was wrong. Where it should have listed my parents' names, I saw Mother Grace Johnson and Father Unknown. My hands started shaking. This had to be a mistake. Grace couldn't be my mother. She was my sister. I was born to Mary and John Johnson, my parents. Everyone knew that. I flipped through more papers, hospital records, letters, photos I'd never seen before. One showed a teenage Grace holding a baby. Me. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it in my ears. The room felt like it was spinning. "What are you doing in here?" I turned around. Grace was standing in the doorway. Her face went from surprise to horror when she saw what I was holding. "Why does this say you're my mother?" My voice was barely a whisper. The birth certificate fell from my hands. Grace's eyes filled with tears. She took a step toward me, then collapsed into the chair by the door. "Emma, you weren't supposed to find this." Her words came between sobs. "Is it true?" I demanded, my voice getting louder. "Are you my mother?" Grace covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. "Answer me," I shouted. "Yes." The word was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. My sister was my mother, which meant my parents were actually my grandparents? "Who's my father?" I asked. Before Grace could answer, there was another voice from the hallway. "Grace? Emma? What's going on up here?" Dad appeared in the doorway. His smile disappeared when he saw the papers scattered on the desk and Grace crying. "What's happening?" he asked, though his eyes said he already knew. I held up the birth certificate. "Did you know about this?" His face went pale. He looked older suddenly, his shoulders slumping. "You weren't supposed to know," he said softly. "Not like this." Those words hit me like a punch. They knew. They had all been lying to me my entire life. "Everyone downstairs is wondering where the birthday girl is," Mom's voice called from the hallway. Then she appeared behind Dad. She looked at all of us, confused. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. I just pointed to the birth certificate on the desk. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh no," she whispered. "I think everyone needs to leave," Grace said, wiping her tears. "The party's over." "But what about—" Mom started. "Now," Grace shouted. I'd never heard her raise her voice like that before. Dad led Mom away. I heard him telling the guests something about Grace feeling sick. Car doors slammed. Engines started. Soon the house was quiet, except for Grace's sniffling. "I think you owe me an explanation," I said, my voice surprisingly calm despite the storm inside me. Grace nodded. "Let's go downstairs. I'll make some tea." In the kitchen, Grace's hands shook as she filled the kettle. Neither of us spoke until we were sitting at the table, steaming mugs in front of us. "I was 15 when I got pregnant with you," Grace began. "I was just a kid myself. Your father was my high school boyfriend, Nick. When I told him about the baby, he disappeared, dropped out of school and moved to another state." I sat in silence, trying to process her words. "Mom and Dad were so disappointed at first," Grace continued. "But then they came up with a plan. Mom would pretend to be pregnant. They would raise you as their own. No one would know the truth." "So my whole life has been a lie?" My voice cracked. "No, Emma, the love was real, is real. We all love you so much. If you loved me, you wouldn't have lied to me for 25 years. I slammed my hand on the table, making the tea splash. "We were trying to protect you," Grace said, "and me. Can you imagine what people would have said about a pregnant 15-year-old in our small town? Dad's job at the church, Mom's position at school. Everything would have changed." "So this was all to protect your reputation?" I felt sick. No, it wasn't just that. Grace reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "We thought it was better for you to have stable parents, not a teenage mother who didn't know what she was doing. But you were always there, always acting like the perfect big sister. Because I'm your mother, Emma. I couldn't not be in your life. I've been there for every important moment." My mind was racing through memories. Grace at my school plays. Grace teaching me to ride a bike when Dad was too busy. Grace crying harder than Mom when I left for college. "Does Robert know?" I asked, thinking of Grace's husband. "Yes, I told him before we got married. He understood." So I'm the only one who didn't know the truth. The betrayal stung even deeper. "We were going to tell you when you turned 18, Grace said. "But then you got that scholarship and were so happy. Mom and Dad thought it would ruin everything for you. That wasn't their choice to make, or yours." We sat in silence for a long time. The tea went cold. "I need to go," I said, finally standing up. "Emma, please don't leave like this. Let's talk more." "I can't look at you right now, any of you." I grabbed my purse and keys. "Where will you go?" Grace asked, fear in her voice. "I don't know, but I can't stay here pretending everything's normal." I drove aimlessly for hours, tears blurring my vision. I ended up at a hotel near the highway. For 3 days, I didn't answer calls from Grace, Mom, or Dad. I needed space to think. On the 4th day, I got a text from Grace. "Please come back to my house. Just you and me. I have more to tell you." I almost ignored it, but the need for answers was stronger than my anger. When I arrived, Grace was alone. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Thank you for coming," she said. We sat in the living room this time. "I want to show you something," Grace said, handing me a journal with a worn blue cover. "I started writing this when I found out I was pregnant with you." I opened it carefully. Inside was Grace's handwriting, the pages yellowed with age. "I wrote to you before you were born," she explained, "and kept writing all through your childhood. Everything I felt but couldn't say out loud." I read entries at random. "Today you kicked for the first time. I'm scared, but I already love you so much." "You said your first word today. Book." Mom cried, but not as much as I did when I was alone in my room later. "Your first day of school. I wanted to be the one walking you to class, holding your hand. Instead, I took pictures and pretended that was enough." There were hundreds of entries, my entire life documented through Grace's eyes. Her love, her pain, her guilt, it was all there on the pages. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because I want you to know that even though I wasn't your mother in name, I was always your mother in my heart. I never abandoned you. I just shared you. I closed the journal, emotions swirling inside me. I'm still angry, I said. This doesn't fix anything. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness yet. Just understanding. We talked for hours. Grace told me more about her pregnancy, about the difficult decision to let our parents raise me, about how she watched me grow up from a strange in-between place. Not quite a sister, not allowed to be a mother. A week later, I agreed to meet with Mom and Dad, or Grandma and Grandpa, though I couldn't bring myself to call them that yet. They cried and apologized. Dad explained how afraid they'd been that Grace would ruin her life, and how the plan to raise me as their own had seemed like the best solution for everyone. We never meant to hurt you, Mom said. We thought we were doing the right thing. It's been 1 month since I found my birth certificate. I'm still processing everything. Some days I'm angry, some days sad. The people I trusted most kept this enormous secret from me for my entire life. But I'm also trying to understand. They made a decision 25 years ago, when Grace was just a scared teenager and I was just a baby. They thought they were protecting both of us. I've moved into my own apartment to have some space. I'm seeing a therapist to help sort through my feelings. Grace and I are talking again, trying to build a new relationship, not as sisters, but as mother and daughter. I don't know what the future holds for our family. The foundation has been cracked, maybe broken forever. But there's still love there, complicated as it is. The truth can shatter a family. But maybe, just maybe, we can put the pieces back together into something new. Something real.